One current NASCAR Truck Series playoff driver is switching teams mid-season. Plus, could Legacy Motor Club be merging with another Cup Series team? Welcome back to the Breaking Bob channel. Hope y'all are doing well on this Tuesday night. We've got a lot to get into, but as always, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing as far as NASCAR content on a daily basis here at the Breaking Bob world. Seems like the NASCAR social media world right now is just very negative. What's new, of course, but just for one thing or the other, it seems like there's just a lot of negativity the last couple weeks. Hopefully that changes, but it's the NASCAR social media. It never really does, but got a lot to get into. Let's talk about some potential Truck Series news before we talk about some rumor mill stuff in the Cup Series world. Let's talk about some real truck stuff because we've got Watkins Glen this weekend, and then Richmond next weekend is their regular season finale. So only 2 races left, and there's 3 drivers currently pointing themselves in. One of those drivers is going to be looking for a new ride and already has seemed to have found it. Now, last night, Kaden Honeyut was announced that he was going to be leaving Nice Motorsports effective immediately. He'd been released by the team, and Nice Motorsports released a statement, quote, Nice Motorsports has released Kaden Honeyut from his driving duties for the organization effective immediately. Connor Zilic will pilot the number 45 Chevrolet at Watkins Glen. Bailey Curry will serve as the driver for the remainder of the season, beginning at Richmond. Phil Gold will remain as the crew chief with no other personnel changes on the team. Honeyut has signed a contract with a different Truck Series organization and OEM in 2026. Making this change allows our team the opportunity to begin building for next year. Begin building for next year by releasing a driver that's gotten you in the playoffs right now. He's one of 3 drivers, like I said, that has currently pointed himself in. With 2 races left, I understand that if you're signing for another team, that's silly season, and that was a lot of what happened back in the 90s, the 2000s. But in this world now where you have to a lot of times run out the season sponsor-wise, contractually, especially with the playoffs, you have a driver in right now. It would be one thing if Kaden Honeyut wasn't in the playoffs, but again, he's, I think, 6th or 7th in the points right now, not even the last driver in on the cut line. He's still got 13 or 14 points over Ty Majeski. I blanked there for a minute. Ty Majeski, last year's champion. But I don't really get it. 6 top 10s, 2 top 5s this season for Honeyut. But that being said, moving on to another OEM next year, you got to wonder, okay, who's that? There's a lot of rumors right now that it's Tricon. He'll be signing potentially with Tricon for 2026. Now, you can do with that info what you will. But already there's smoke, there's fire, and he'll be running, it sounds like, with Young's Motorsports this weekend at the O2 car for Watkins Glen. Kaden Honeyut confirmed that himself, and then also it's been announced that he'll be running in the Stuart Friesen previously run 52 truck. So that's a Toyota-backed car right there. Where there's smoke, there's fire there. Kaden Honeyut potentially moving to Tricon in 2026, but he'll be in a truck that's already won this year with Stuart Friesen in the playoffs. So now Kaden Honeyut can worry about not only potentially the playoff standings for the drivers, but the owner standings now for the 52 truck as well. So it's a win-win there, as bad of a situation as it is with Stuart Friesen, of course, injured from his dirt racing accident last week, where he's still recovering, a long recovery in the hospital from multiple broken bones. This is probably the best of a bad situation as you could get. Kaden Honeyut is 22 years old. Like I said, multiple top 5s, top 10s this year. Over 40 Truck Series starts. Brings a lot of experience here in a younger driver that probably has a decent future in his sights there. But another driver in the Toyota driver pipeline as well. So that gets a little more clogged. But for Nice Motorsports, I don't really get it. I mean, I unless their plan is to have Connor Zilic run the rest of these races, which he's not. He's only running this week at Watkins Glen. I don't understand it. But they're building for their future. But let me know your thoughts down below about Kaden Honeyut moving to that 52 truck and, how he'll fare in the playoffs this year, even though it is probably his potentially future Tricon teammate or wherever Corey Heim ends up next year, whether it's Xfinity or in the trucks back in that 2nd or 3rd level. His championship, it's going to run through Heim time to make it to Phoenix, that's for sure. But Kaden Honeyut now has a better opportunity potentially than even what he was in right now. It's wild to think, but it is true. But to piggyback off of that with more silly season talk, because it is a relatively quiet silly season in the NASCAR world, especially after last year's tumultuous one with SHR closing and multiple drivers having to find rides. A little bit more calm. Of course, Daniel Suarez out at Trackhouse. Connor Zilic probably going to be announced this week in that 99. Got Justin Haley on the hot seat at Spire. What a difference a year makes. But outside of that, not a ton. But there is still this Legacy Motor Club lawsuit with Rick Ware Racing, where Legacy Motor Club is still trying to expand for a potential third car as early as 2026. Now, if that happens, that's a domino effect. Who the driver would be, we'll talk about that in a minute. But Jimmy Johnson even confirmed a couple weeks ago in his media availability that yes, they are still actively pursuing a third charter one way or another. And if this lawsuit with Legacy Motor Club / TJ Pusher doesn't work out, they may have a backup plan that might just be the one that might be staring at us the whole time here, because NASCAR Rumor Nostalgia was the one that posted this a couple of days ago, that Hos Factory Team and Legacy Motor Club have potentially talked about a joint merger or Legacy buying up the whole Hos Factory Team and shop. Now, Door Bumper Clearer from Dirty Mo Media also acknowledged this rumor, didn't straight up say that it was Legacy Motor Club, but a Toyota team that's been in lawsuits that's not Joe Gibbs Racing or 2311. Well, unless Michael Waltrip Racing is coming back, I think that we know who it is. So Legacy Motor Club with a potential merger with Rick Ware, or with not Rick Ware Racing, a Legacy Motor Club with a potential merger with the Hos Factory Team. Now, it makes sense for a lot of reasons. The first one is that the shaky ground that Hos Factory Team is on. It's no secret that it's the remnants of Stuart Haas Racing. And yes, it's a single car operation with two cars in the Xfinity side that really is kind of the anchor of the Xfinity world for Ford, but it's not really moving the needle. You got Cole Custer that hasn't had a great run this year, running back in the Cup Series in 2025, but the Hos Factory Team get that third car. Haas also has a partnership with Toyota on the F1 side through 2028, so Legacy Motor Club, of course, still with Toyota as of right now. There's been rumors, of course, of them changing OEMs down the line with new OEMs, but for now, Legacy Motor Club and Toyota, that's a partnership that you could potentially see Haas come in on. That makes sense right there. And again, how I said Hos Factory Team is a one-car operation, Legacy Motor Club only can buy one charter because NASCAR has capped it at 3 charters you can own outside of Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick Motorsports, which were grandfathered in. So for Hos Factory Team, a one-car team, there's not a lot of those out there right now. Not a lot of one charters for sale. So makes sense for Legacy Motor Club as well. And Legacy Motor Club has absorbed all of these former teams. Might as well add one more to the crew there. And another interesting note is with Hos Factory Team potentially leaving the Xfinity world if they got bought out or moved to Toyota, it would open the door for Penske to return to the Xfinity world as the flagship team, as they haven't run since Austin Cindric won in that car a lot back in the day. They haven't had a presence, so would make sense for Penske to return, as Ford hasn't really had a big presence in the Xfinity series outside of course, Hos Factory Team. They've got the Siegs in there, but it's few and far between. You got Harrison Burton and AM Motorsports, but or AM Racing, but it's not a lot of Ford presence in the Xfinity series. So that could potentially open the door for Penske return, as there's rumors for a potential Xfinity deal they already have with a driver, Carson Quapple. And who's to say? But that's something to definitely watch as a domino effect if this merger happens. And then there's also the thought I mentioned a second ago, who would be the driver for this third car for Legacy Motor Club? And all signs point to Jimmy Johnson catching the love bug for Jesse Love as the Xfinity driver for Richard Childress Racing. There's been smoke out there that there is a potential that Jesse Love goes to the Toyota side, and this would make sense there. A third car at the Cup Series level for Jesse Love, who shown flashes for sure on the RCR Xfinity world. Will it make sense fully? Will it come to fruition? Who's to say? But another interesting wrinkle in the silly season rumor mill. And it just seems like there's a lot of smoke to this. When there's smoke, there's fire. So something to note there is potentially the Legacy Motor Club Hos Factory Team merger on the horizon down the line if this Legacy Rick Ware Racing lawsuit doesn't work out. But let me know your thoughts down below about what I'm talking about. If you think that I'm crazy, if you think this makes no sense, of course, wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last time here at the Breaking Bob channel. But if you like what you saw, make sure to like this video. It helps me out a ton. Subscribe for more Breaking Bob content. And Norman is down here. He is down here. Hang on. And Norman says, be a friend and tell a friend about the Breaking Bob channel. And we'll see you next time for the next Breaking Bob video with whatever the NASCAR world brings us. So see you next time, folks.